Welcome, y'all. What I've come to realize over the years is that many of the blocks to reaching our goals are not in our awareness. They're in the subconscious mind, or they're just simply outside of what we perceive. And so this video is there to bring awareness to some of the blocks that you may have that are preventing you from achieving your goals. And uncovering these can really bring new life and new awareness and new insight into how to dissolve these blocks and thus actually reach your goals with clarity. A lot of time we go from thing to thing to thing to thing, and we keep running into similar roadblocks. And if this is a perpetual happening in your life, and it just keeps popping up again and again, and there's certain blocks you can't get over, you may have something that's called a counter intention running contrary towards the arriving at your goal. And these could come in several different fronts, and I want to get into these here in a second. But first off, I just want to thank you for being here. This is about achieving the things you really desire in life. And we do this from existing on your new frequency, your highest frequency, your higher frequency. And it feels so great when you tap into your best self and you start living from that best self. Your life just changes, and now things just start happening, and life just gets better and better. So that's what this is about. Let's explore some of these counter intentions and how they may come to be and how they can fight against us. The first one we're going to look at is the subconscious. The subconscious is what's going on underneath our mind. Like right now, you're listening to this video and you're perceiving the video, but the subconscious is that which controls our impulse. It controls our action. It controls what we do, and it also tends to either put us into going after a certain goal, or it halts our progress. Maybe on a surface level we believe we can achieve it, but our subconscious just truly doesn't believe in it. We like the idea of it, but do we really have faith in it on a deep level? So the subconscious is something you've picked up your entire life, and it will start affecting how we behave, and it affects our tonality, how we speak. It affects how we relate to people, and it affects what we actually go after and push on through too, because if there's a counter intention in the subconscious where we really don't truly believe in it, we may just be acting, and then we confirm that it doesn't really make any sense, and then we just stop doing it. So the subconscious is there to either help us or hinder us. So we must become aware of this by bringing the subconscious into the conscious mind. And we'll get more into this as we go. The other counter intentions can be from family. And as much as family supports us, and I hope that your family supports you, sometimes there is programming that's gone back generations in family. And an example of this, let's say that you do not come from a family of entrepreneurs, and there's just this belief in the family that entrepreneurs have a very hard time making it. Maybe they are hardly ever successful. Maybe they are doing something that they're not called to do. Maybe they're just being crazy. These are just some examples. Something that your family doesn't really believe in. And you may be venturing off trying to do your own thing, or you may be going down a certain route that people just can't really relate to. And when you talk with your family, they may pay it lip service, but do they truly believe in you? Do they truly believe in what you're doing? And what you'll find is not only with family but friends also. Many of them will encourage you on the surface, but subconsciously you just get this inclination from them, this vibe from them, that deep down they don't really believe in you. And you're just kind of left with this emptiness after you speak with them or after you interact with them, that you lose that faith. You start having doubts all of a sudden just from interacting with that person. And so this is a major, or can be at least a major block to success, is just the influence of those around us. And then we also have societal. So if you're constantly listening to media, maybe you're in school right now and they have a certain agenda they're pushing, and they are pushing you in a certain direction to go in terms of career, and maybe they're downplaying the viability of actually going out and creating something yourself. And you have all these influences, maybe on social media, maybe on the internet, maybe on TV, that don't really reinforce the kind of life you're creating, and in fact they try to downplay it. So these over time can sink into the subconscious and affect our belief system. And then we also have job. If you were in a job right now and you maybe took this job out of necessity, and this job may be kind of on the lower rung, or just, it's not where you see yourself in the future. Well, inevitably, you're going to be surrounded by people who think a certain way. And if you're around these people every day, you will start probably taking in some of these belief systems that the people around you have, and talking like them and speaking like them. And you may even start to go after the same kind of things they're going after, or at least have similar limitations that have been set just by putting yourself around these people. So much of this, again, it happens on the subconscious level, but after we interact with them, we may come back and just have this doubt, this lingering lack of belief in ourselves, because we're not surrounding ourselves with people who truly believe in what we're doing, and also the goals that can actually be accomplished through our actions. And so each of these can play a role in the counter intention. So if you've watched the previous videos, you've probably seen that this frequency up here is your new self. This is what you've come to live on if you've been practicing the exercises, and you've put on the new you. You're visualizing, you're creating your new life, you're praying every day, you're asking for God's guidance, and you just feel better now that you've been on this higher frequency. And so all the things happening in your life right now are going to happen because you're on this frequency, because you have the insight of the Lord, because you've raised yourself to a higher level of being. So the new ideas that pop up now are going to exist on this frequency. And when you act on these ideas, you will start creating the manifestations that will tend to turn up, and they will turn up if you keep going on the frequency. The fruits of your action that were inspired when you were on the frequency will start manifesting as long as you stay on the frequency. And the more you stay on the frequency, the more this frequency will feel like home to you. It'll be your new vibration. And so that's great. Everything that I just said, if you keep going in that direction, it's great. But here's the problem. This is what many people fail to realize, is that it's great that you're going in this direction. However, a thing that many of us don't take into consideration is that there's also what's called a counter frequency. And this is your old frequency, the subconscious beliefs, the the family programming that maybe you don't even see either, the societal, the job programming exist on your previous frequency which is still in the subconscious mind. And that's what you have to tune into, because these are the things that prevent a person from really experiencing all these great things. Because you can be going in a great direction, you can even feel the momentum behind you, and then for some reason there will be a block that you just cannot get over, and you don't know why that is. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. You think to yourself, what am I doing wrong? Well, what's going on is you have unconscious counterintentions going on. The unconscious counterintentions can hold you up indefinitely. And it's such an insidious thing that happens to us, but many of us will just stay stuck at a certain level because of these. But when you bring these to light, then you can fix them. So let's go back to your highest frequency, your newest frequency, your best self. You're putting on your best self every day. You're reading your goals. You're using gratitude affirmations. You're putting yourself in a high frequency. You just feel great. And then all of a sudden, you keep running into these blocks, and you're just not getting ahead. Things aren't happening, even though you're doing the work. And then you think to yourself, well, maybe there's a counterintention. Well, this is where the deep programming must take place. And this is the first exercise. I'm going to give you one exercise on here, and I will have more on the membership of actually getting rid of these more. But this first exercise is critical. When you think of your goal, when you start speaking your goal into existence, you start visualizing it, you reinforce it every day, what thoughts happen? What thoughts pop up? How does your mind react when you do this? Also this, after you speak with that family member or that friend or that person at your job, what thoughts do you start having? So ask yourself this question. What thoughts now? What thoughts are you having now? Because if you keep this running through your mind, like right now, you may have good thoughts running through your mind, or maybe since I've introduced this, maybe you're having some doubts. But when you're reading your goals and you feel good in the morning, you start your day right, you're working on your goals, maybe you're actually working on that idea that has manifested, and you feel good about life, and then you start hitting these blocks. Maybe you start noticing that your bank account is at a certain level, not where you want it to be. Or maybe you get off the phone with that person and now you start questioning everything. Well, ask yourself this question. What thoughts? It's important to put now in here. Because while you're on this frequency, your thoughts are great. You're thinking about the future. You're thinking about what's happening now. You're thinking about what you're doing, where your goals are, how good you feel, and you're putting off positive love. You're feeling great. You're healthy. Everything's going awesome. But when you run into these counterintentions, when are they appearing? Are they coming while you're alone? If that's the case, it could be in the subconscious mind. It could be something that's part of your past programming. Or is it when you get off the phone with that family member? Maybe you just had a talk, and now all of a sudden you're questioning your life all of a sudden. What are you actually doing with your life? Are you wasting your life? All right, again, counterintention. And then maybe you're perusing on the internet. Maybe you're looking up all kinds of things, and then this information, these videos pop up on your feed. You watch it, and now again you come back. What thoughts are you having now? Okay, same thing with the job. You go to work, you come home, or maybe while you're at work, you start questioning. Counterintentions can hold you back, because if you think about it, if you're going in a certain direction and you have a very, very strong wind blowing you, it'll at the very least slow you up. But if it's super strong, it may hold you in suspension where you're just not getting anywhere. It's like paddling upstream and you have a whole river coming against you, and you're just thinking to yourself, well, I'm paddling super strong. Why am I not getting anywhere? Counterintentions. You may have counterintentions running in the background that are just pushing you back. Everything is pushing you back. And it's not your fault. But what can help is to bring it into awareness. You're taking it from the unconscious to the conscious. Spelled that wrong. You're taking it from the unconscious to the conscious. When you make it conscious, now you can do something with it. Now you can dissolve it. Now you can pray about it. Now you can remove it. Now you can step aside and look at what's actually going on and take care of it. But before, you were just being blown back. You were trying to paddle upstream. That water was pushing you back and holding you in suspension. So you need to know what you're up against. One of these that I didn't mention is the spiritual. So the spiritual, it can be the demonic, for instance. So be aware of this too. Getting in the Word of God, praying to the Lord, connecting to Jesus Christ, dissolving the demonic influence. And all of these, in essence, are working against you. So I will say it doesn't really matter. It matters insofar you know exactly what to focus on. But in essence, what you're going to do is, once you identify what it is, then you're going to start to dissolve it, and you're going to identify it and surrender it. Surrender the counterintention. Do not let that affect your subconscious mind. And then what you're going to do is override it with your positive intention. Whenever it comes up, whenever the counterintention is identified, you're going to override it. And you can do this in multiple ways, but here are a couple of them. You can mentally override it. Maybe you're in a meeting and you're listening to propaganda, or you're listening to just limitation in the meeting. Mentally override it. Cancel it. Say something like, cancel that. So you cancel that when it gets into your mind, so it doesn't go into the subconscious. I've had multiple people tell me, now that you're 40, you've got to watch out, you're going to lose your eyesight. And I'm thinking to myself, where did this come from? Why would multiple people tell me that? It's programming. And immediately what I said to myself is, cancel that. Or I said it out loud, cancel that, that's not true. And this is in the programming of society. And people pick this up and they believe it. And no doubt, sure, that happens. But for somebody to just put that on you, it's kind of like a curse. If you buy into the curses, you will be a slave to that. So you have to cancel that as soon as it gets into your mind. Say, cancel that. And flush that out of the system. Surrender that to God. Eliminate it from your consciousness. Do not give it any credence, any belief whatsoever. Very important. The other thing is positive talk or positive affirmation. And I have plenty of videos on here about that. but these will actually override it. So if you keep putting the positive affirmations, they will override the program that's running counter to your new life. And the other thing is reading your vision. So when you read that vision, and you're doing that anyway, but when you start feeling the counter intention, you bring the vision back and you reinforce that, and you keep reinforcing it. Again, this will also override the counter intention. You got to understand what you're up against. If you don't take into account these blocks and you just go about your life frustrated and saying to yourself, oh, well, this raising your vibration doesn't work. Well, guess what? You're going to be in a world of trouble. I mean, you're going to be like a person out in the ocean and you're just being blown around from this way to this way to this way. And you don't know why you're not getting across. Why are you not getting to the promised land? Well, it's because this wind coming from all this is holding you in suspension or even blowing you backwards. So you must understand this. These counter intentions could be all things, and here, let me give you some examples of this. We need to understand that many people, and I hate to say this, but it's true. This is something I've come to realize. Many people are jealous people. And this is what happens. They will be supportive of you up to the point where they think that you are beneath them. But as soon as you start rising above what they perceive to be above you, the jealousy will kick in. Much of this is programming, but for whatever reason, for whatever cause, it exists. And this could also be your friendships. It could be even in your own family. Many people out there will be jealous of your success. And when you start taking off, when you start talking about new things, when you start talking about breakthroughs, the jealousy will kick in. So another direction to do, and this is important, is don't talk about this. And definitely don't talk about the manifestations on this that you're going after. Because if you do that, these people who originally on your past program were on this frequency, this to them is almost sickening. Not to all of them. Some of them will support you. I'm not saying there are not good people out there. But there are quite a few of them who will not support you. Now, they may pay you lip service. They may say, oh yeah, keep going. But there's just this tone, and you get a feeling from them that they don't really want you to succeed. Because, in essence, their ego is threatened by you gaining something they don't have. And so, you got to really be mindful of this. This is a major cause of counterintentions. All of this right here, but especially these right here. Your subconscious, you have control over. You have control over what you put into your mind. Now, this can influence your subconscious, but you actually have control over this. But these right here, that's where the jealousy springs from. And unless you fathom the enemy, sometimes it can be very difficult. Like I said, you could be out in the middle of the ocean, going towards your promised land, taking all kinds of risks, and you're kind of out there in suspension. Maybe you've jumped off the cliff, and you've opened your parachute, but you start to have questions. You need to take this into consideration. I'm telling you, you need to take it into consideration. When you fathom where the counterintention is coming, now you can gain back control. And you can cancel it. Say, cancel that. When you get off that phone, you start having doubts, You start having questions. You start trying to turn back. Maybe you've gone out in the middle of the ocean and now you're going, oh, I just can't do this. You start turning back. That's when you pop on those positive affirmations. That's when you reinforce that vision. That's when you put yourself back into action. Action itself will put you back on track. All of these, and there are more too. Prayer is another one. Getting in the Word of God. All of these are awesome. Prayer, Bible, meditation, but action itself, going for a walk, moving your body. Don't get stagnant. Don't stay in the middle of the ocean. When you start going in that direction, it'll make a lot of these people down here who came on your previous vibration uncomfortable. They won't want it to happen. Much of this is even in their subconscious mind. They don't even know why it's happening. The program that's running in their background that's held them back their entire lives will start lashing out at you. They may even start talking behind your back, and you just feel this pull back into the other way. I'm telling you, it's counterintentions. When you dissolve these counterintentions, whoo, there's this lift. You start feeling free again. All right, y'all? So this is the first video on this. There'll probably be a whole series on this. I will be doing a counterintention deprogramming on the membership of actual more in-depth information on phrases and what you can say. But just understanding this today should be a freeing experience for you. When you understand that this is going on, now all of a sudden you can have control again. And look, this is why reading scripture is so important too, because many people have this view that it's all in the subconscious mind. It's all about your belief system. No, it's not. No, it's not. We have other things going on that are affecting you too. And unless you're aware of this, you can be influenced by forces that you don't even see. You have to bring the unconscious into the conscious, and then you're free again. Okay, y'all, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate your attention on this. Feel free to comment as always. Thank you so much for being a part of this channel, and I look forward to doing more on this. See you next time.